All right. All right. Welcome to another amazing episode of LaQuita's Toolbox Live. I am your host, LaQuita Monley, and I'm just really enjoying this fabulous Monday. I better turn my phone off so the notifications won't be all on the live broadcast. But I am enjoying this beautiful Monday, and I'm excited to have with me a very amazing guest. Dr. Watson, Dr. Tommy Watson is our second guest of the year for LaQuita's Toolbox Live. So I'm definitely honored that he is blessing us with some amazing tools on today. But before we get started, Toolbox audience, there's two things. First things I've got to take care of is thanking our sponsors at Covenant Press, and they are a faith-based Christian apparel and accessory shop where we as believers are able to purchase items that allow us to wear and share the message of the love of Jesus Christ. If you want to visit Covenant Press, please go out to their website at www.covenant-press.com. Go ahead and shop till you drop. And if you're purchasing $50 or more of items, if you're a LaQuita's Toolbox audience member, put in that growth as your promo code and you'll get 25% or more off of your purchase of $50 or more. So you want to take that opportunity to shop there at Covenant Press. And the second thing is get something to write with and to write on, because you don't want to miss the tools that will be shared today on the Toolbox. Dr. Tommy, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. LaQuita, how you doing?
I'm good. It's Monday. It's a fun day, right?
It is. The sun is shining here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm sure it's shining there in Texas too, I hope, at least, right?
Well, you know what? We're experiencing some, this weather is weird here in Texas. We're subject to have all four seasons in a day. And so today we woke up with fall. It's
really?
raining. Really? It's raining and it's dreary. However, yesterday it was bright and sunny. So
wow. We've been getting snow here, so I love the sunshine as well. So
yeah, you can keep the snow.
Honor to be on with you, absolutely.
That's awesome. Well, Dr. Tommy, thank you again so much for being a guest with us today on LaQuita's Toolbox. And you and I have had an opportunity to have a bit of a conversation. As a matter of fact, it was last week.
Yeah,
we had a bit of a conversation. Yeah. I really enjoyed that opportunity. To be a guest on your podcast. And I love your story. You have such an amazing story of resilience and perseverance. So I just knew that you'll be able to drop some tools here at the Toolbox. So for those that don't know you, please take a moment and share with us who you are and your story.
Okay, it is a pleasure to be on here with you again. And thank you for being on my podcast. You guys got to make sure you tune into LaQuita's story too. Amazing story. I'm sure there's going to be some nuggets she's going to drop as well, though. So I'm originally from Denver, Colorado, LaQuita, and I grew up there. My mother and father were heroin addicts and shoplifters as kids. So as a kid, I grew up, spent a lot of time homeless. My mother and father were arrested 121 times by the time I finished high school.
Wow.
And as a kid, I spent a lot of time in foster homes, crisis centers, motel rooms, bounced around from place to place to place, went to like 4 different elementary schools between my second and third grade year of school. So I was a very angry kid. I was a very misguided kid. I was a kid who was searching for love, and I found myself in third grade wanting to join the local Crips that was in my neighborhood, and I was getting ready to do that. At the time, I was living with my aunt, and she got me involved in sports, and sports literally saved my life. Ended up going on to play sports, and everything I was looking for in the world of gangs I received from playing sports: a sense of belonging, great connection between male mentor, coach, and other kids who had the same aspirations as myself. So did that for a number of years. Was with my aunt for a number of years. By my 7th grade year of school, I was back with my mother and father. We found ourselves in another very difficult situation. It was a beautiful sunny day in the city of Denver. And I'm sitting at home. This is the summer before my 8th grade year of school. I'm watching my favorite television show. And there was a knock at the door, and I go to the door. And to my surprise, there sit the police and local sheriffs. I'm like, wow, why are you here? Well, they had informed me that we had to get out because my parents had been paying rent. And I was like, okay, you mean like 60 days, right? Because we'd gone through this before. They were like, no. I was like, you mean like 30 days, right? They were like, no. I said, so when are we supposed to get out? And they said, right now.
Wow.
I said, right now? Where are we supposed to go? And they
Yeah.
said, that's not a problem. They went to our house, LaQuita, and started throwing all of our stuff into the front yard.
Wow.
And I just kept saying, so where are we supposed to go? Long story short, ended up leaving there with my family of 9 of us with only the clothes we had on our back, and moved into our 7th motel room This particular motel room we stayed in my entire 3rd year of school was one room, 9 people, 2 beds, 1 bathroom. We stayed. Our clothes were dirty. We talked about it at school. Teachers didn't believe in me. I didn't believe in myself. I had a learning disability. But I ended up getting a scholarship to go to this private suburban Denver high school because I was a pretty good athlete. And I remember my mother and father were against me going to the school. And wasn't quite sure what was going to happen with the opportunity. But they ended up going back to prison again in 8th grade, end of my 3rd year of school. Mm-hmm. So my other grandmother took me and my little brother and sister in and moved us into the heart of our neighborhood, which was now being called Little Compton now in the 80s because all the gang members from LA were now in Denver. Wow. With everything we were doing in LA. So took 3 city buses every morning as a 9th grader, starting at 6:30 in the morning to get to school every day. Did this for a number of years. By my junior year of high school, my grandmother had developed Alzheimer's disease. Wow. My little brother had gotten heavily involved in gangs and attempted to shoot someone in school and was shipped off to juvenile prison. My older brother, who I met by pure coincidence in a foster home in 2nd grade, was coming back around because he had ties to the same gang as my little brother. My older sister was now on crack cocaine. My second older sister was in foster care, and my life was in total turmoil. And my mother now was being released from prison, was no longer doing drugs, no longer involved in criminal activity. However, no one would give her a second chance. So she ended up turning to selling drugs to take care of us. In the middle of my senior high school, she got busted for selling drugs and was on her way back to prison again. Wow. I ended up finding myself homeless, and friend and family took me in for the last 6 months of my senior high school and left Denver 30 years ago on a Greyhound bus. I never moved back home. I left there. My mom was in prison. My dad was in prison. I was an All-American football player, so I had a scholarship to the University of Minnesota. Younger brother was in prison and literally had no home address to return to back in Denver. Went to Minnesota with aspirations of going on to play pro, but I got hurt, and God had other plans for me, which forced me to get my degrees. When I got my 4 degrees, became a school principal, and then left being a principal about 12 years ago to start my own company, motivational speaking, coaching, and consulting. So that's where I am today. So in a nutshell, that's kind of Dr. Tommy Watson.
That's such a multifaceted story, but it absolutely explains your moniker because you are a person of inspiration. You know, it's one of those stories that really drive home the fact that it doesn't matter how you begin.
Right.
What matters is who you know that you are.
Yes.
And where you want to be. It's like, how bad do you want to? How bad do you want it? It's like, my beginning does not define my current situation, literally, and it doesn't really define where I want to be. Nothing is impossible if I simply just, believe in myself and want to pursue those goals. So one of the questions that I really like to ask the Toolbox audience is, Toolbox guests is the importance of identity in that whole time of you growing up from, literally from birth until you left to go to college. How much of that was a struggle with knowing who you are?
Yeah.
And once you figured out who you are, how much did that help you overcome the adversities that you face?
Yeah, that's a great question. Of course, growing up in a situation, all of us, want to grow up in situations with the people who brought us into this world. There's nobody who knows us better other than God, of course, but our mother and father, so not having that as a young person growing up, bouncing around from foster homes, crisis centers to motel rooms, all these different places. I mean, I lived in numerous foster homes by the time I was in 2nd grade. So you start talking about identity. I didn't know who I was. So I got to 3rd grade. My identity was about to be connected with the Crips in Denver. Thank God for my aunt. And then my identity began to be associated with sports. But again, that's still surface level. That wasn't who Tommy Watson was put on this earth to be, though.
Yes.
It really wasn't until LaQuita, when I was in college, my 3rd year of college, I was back home. I was at the University of Minnesota. I was playing sports, like most guys, wasn't really playing, going to class as much. It was all about being cool in football, So I'm back home visiting. My mother's now out of prison, and I'm driving my older brother's minivan, and I'm getting ready to parallel park the minivan. We picked up his girlfriend. We're getting ready to parallel park the minivan in front of my mother's house. I noticed at the corner was a black Cherokee sitting at the corner, and it turned and started coming our way. I continued to try to park the minivan, and suddenly I started hearing boom, 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 pop, 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 pop. And there was gunshots. And I heard gunshots before, but something in my mind was like, "You better get down." So my foot on the brake. I leaned towards the middle of the car, LaQuita, covered my head and chest area, and that's when the glass started breaking on the van. And I'm like, I'm about to die.
Wow.
And I remember just sitting there waiting for a bullet to pierce my body, hoping that it wouldn't hit me in the head or chest where I could survive. And then the gunshot stopped. And I popped up. I looked to see if I'd been wounded, and thank God I hadn't been. My mind instantly went to my mother, who was sitting in the passenger side, not moving. But then she popped up. The young lady back popped up. We got from the stepped away from the minivan. The minivan was shot from front to back.
Wow.
2 shooters. There was a bullet that was lodged in the bottom windowsill of my door that was meant to kill me.
Wow.
I remember going back to college with a whole new perspective on identity. I
Identity.
was going back saying, I need to find out who God said Tommy Watson really is.
That's
And I remember going back to University of Minnesota saying, hey, you know what? All this stuff I went through, because prior to that, one of my teammates said, you know what? God's been looking after you, man. Prior to the drive-by shooting, I was like, if God had been looking after me, I wouldn't have went through all this other stuff, though. Walking away from that drive-by shooting, I said, God had been looking after me.
Yes.
And he has there's more to my life to be done than just sports.
Yes.
I started to really kind of use my story to inspire myself and to inspire others, which is part of my mission and my identity. But our identity can only be found through our Creator. And if we don't have that connection to our Creator, we will fall to the realms of, trying to be the man or the woman or whatever it may be that society wants us to be. And that stuff may work for a minute. Long term, it does not work. I'll tell you, when I was at a place of depression in college and contemplating suicide, on the outside, I looked like I was the man. I had girlfriends. I had, I was good at football. I could fight, but on the inside, I was dying. So identity is far more than just those superficial things that society tells us we need to have. So you got to dig deep and really, kind of find out what you're created to be and do.
That's real good. I love the way that you were able to outline how your identity shifted a few times.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your youth, you didn't quite know who you were because of all of the traumatic experiences that you were. Then when you began to become a great athlete, you identified as an athlete. But even in that, because it was superficial, it was temporal, it was based on, if all things were right and in alignment, then my identity is solid and I'm good, and that's something like a lot of, I believe that my son is a college athlete. My youngest is a college athlete right now. And I believe that sports is great. I played sports, but to know the difference between me or you being a great athlete and then actually who we are will help a whole lot of college athletes in some major ways.
Absolutely. Critical. It's critical.
Because that identity piece, and when I know who I am and whose I am, it doesn't matter what happens, the adversities that may happen on the outside, I will overcome those. Right. Not saying that the adversities won't happen because I'm solid in who I am. Right. It's just my response to those adversities and my willingness to press forward and push forward and, surround myself with the right people. It changes. You were saying, on that outside, you looked great, but on the inside, you were broken. On the outside, you were living the college dream. That's right. College athlete, great at what you did. The girls loved you. Who wouldn't be loving that existence?
A couple of them like me. I don't think a lot of them. Just a couple of them.
Just a couple of them. Just a couple of them. Well, a college kid's dream, right? Or so we think. But on the inside, outside of that, if you could, that experience that you had there with the drive-by shooting and remembering what your college room friend had told you, hey, God's been looking out for you a long time. In that, it's when you went back and had a chance to meditate on that, what are some of the things that you were able to pull together to say, okay, yes, Lord, who did you create me to be? Like, what did that process look like?
Yeah. Sometimes when we go through tough times, we start looking at the problem itself. And the problem is the problem. However, we need to look at the problem with purpose. So I had to shift from looking at things happening to me to things happening for me.
Oh, come on. That's good.
So I said, maybe when I was in foster home, it didn't feel good. Maybe when I was homeless, it didn't feel good. But maybe there's a bigger purpose that God has leading me to have. Maybe I'm become the voice of those kids who are now dealing with homelessness. Kids who are dealing with in the foster care system. The movie I made, this won 7 awards, talks a lot about that. But you get a shift in terms of looking at things happening to me, to things happening for me, but also you get a better understanding that sometimes in life, LaQuita, adversity is a far better teacher than victory.
Yeah.
So I went to a private suburban Denver high school where the kids were millionaires. When they went skiing on the weekends, they went to resorts their family either owned or partially owned. Today, I can tell you that I have the highest amount of education than anybody in that class. It doesn't make me better than anybody else like that. But what I had to go through forced me to be able to become a driver. I'm a person who I'll go get it. I'm willing to work hard. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish my goals and dreams. So the big shift for me was, again, moving from that. But the final shift that was really cool, LaQuita. And I want everybody to get out there. Sometimes when you're going through tough times, gotta learn how to dream beyond your circumstances.
Come on, sir. Say that one more time, real loud.
Gotta learn to dream beyond your circumstances. That's what kept me in the game when things were very, very tough. I've always been a dreamer, LaQuita. Even when I was 5 years old, I got back with my parents. I remember they wouldn't teach me how to ride a bike. I'd watch the other kids ride a bike. I found a yellow 10-speed by the garbage can. I told myself at the age of 6, I was going to learn how to ride a bike just like those other kids. I would push the bike up to people's cars, and I would climb up on the hood, and I would get on the bike, and I would try to pedal, and I'd fall down. I would do it again. I would do it. I eventually learned how to ride the bike, barely touching the pedals, and that's how I learned how to ride a bike, though. But I saw myself learn how to ride a bike far beyond before I had a bike, though. Same thing when it came to whatever situation may be, and I want people to get this, though. One of the most common traits of successful people is they're able to see themselves accomplishing their goals and dreams well beyond the point before they actually achieve it.
Yes.
So whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is you want to accomplish, you got to see yourself achieving it now.
Yes.
I'll give you this last statistic right here. Well, a piece of research here. There was a research that was done on the brains of actors. They put MRI machines on brains of actors. And what they found was that when the actors were in character, I want everybody to listen to this. When the actors were in character, their brains actually changed.
Wow.
They became someone else.
Wow.
That's the same thing that happens with us when we dream.
Come on now.
You can be one place physically, but your mind can take you to a whole nother place, where you can be achieving later on. So don't let your current circumstances stop you from dreaming about where God is going to be taking you to. Dream it, see it, feel it, talk about it all day, every day, and take yourself there and condition your mind to be at that place well before you get there. So those are some of the things I learned how to do in the process of becoming and gravitating and gaining my true identity.
That's awesome. Vision is so important. Like, we have to be able to visualize that we expect, that we desire, that we want. If we can't visualize it, then how can we map out a plan in order to get there? How will we know, the steps that we need to take? Step 1, step 2, step 3. If you don't have that ability to visualize it, it's like you've lost all hope.
Absolutely.
Our imagination, right? Like, our imagination takes us there. I love that. I absolutely love that.
And you know what it is? It's really faith. So I tell people, when I was growing up in the situation I grew up, LaQuita, I had to be able to see the there that was there. There was nothing there but me there. I'll say it one more time. So I had to be able to see the there that was there. And there was absolutely nothing there but me there.
Wow.
That is faith. And that's what God wants us to do. We have to be able to see the there that is there when there is absolutely nothing there but you there.
Come on now.
With your hope and your faith taking to the place you want to be. That's faith.
Yeah.
When you see it, that ain't faith. That's the end result of the manifestation.
Yes. Come on now. That's real good. I mean, that's literally living out, speaking those things that are not as though they were. I won't speak it if I don't believe it.
That's right.
So we've got to be able to visualize it. We've got to be able to see it. We have to have that faith that we can do it, and in order to walk it out. That those are some amazing tools. Listen, Toolbox audience, thank you so much for jumping in and giving some of your comments. If you just tuned in, we're having a great conversation today about the importance of identity. I'm speaking with Dr. Tommy Watson. He shared with us an amazing story of persistency and resilience, overcoming and walking in greatness. Like I can give it so many different things. So if you just jumped in and you missed the first half of the broadcast, don't worry, hit the replay and share this with someone that you know can benefit from it. Those of you that have been watching, again, thank you so much. Hit those like, share, and comment buttons. We want to hear feedback from you. We want to know your thoughts. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. And so let's just jump right back into it, Dr. Tommy Ming. You've given us some great tools. You've given us some great tools where you've shared your story of persistency and resilience. You've talked about the importance of identity, and even share with us how at different phases in our lives we can actually identify in different areas. But ultimately, when we know for sure who we are, that's when we're coming into an agreement with who God created us to be. Absolutely. When I'm in alignment with him and he has spoken to us concerning who we are.
That's right.
That's when you really know your identity. And that's when we can begin to step into and walk into our greatness.
Yeah. Part of the challenge that a lot of people face is that we allow other people to take us off course. I'm doing some research right now on the caterpillar. The caterpillar goes through 3 phases. It's a caterpillar, goes into cocoon, where all the stuff takes place. It's not sleeping in that cocoon. There's a lot of stuff takes place. I thought it was kind of just chilling out in the cocoon. There's a lot of stuff happening in that cocoon. Then it becomes a butterfly. I tell people all the time, do you know that caterpillars cannot convince other caterpillars that they cannot be butterflies? They can't be convinced.
They cannot.
Caterpillars simply knows I was put on this earth
to be a
someday go through a transformation to become a butterfly.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, I'm going to go into that crystallization phase in that cocoon, and I'm going to become a butterfly.
Yeah.
So we as individuals, we've allowed family members, friends to speak into us and tell us what we're not. And we begin to shift down our aspirations to meet their needs and not going after our own goals and dreams. Things that's taking place here recently with COVID during the pandemic is a lot of people have come to a realization after being off from work for many years that they were thrusted into jobs that they really didn't like.
Yes.
Going to work just because someone told them you should do this or do that.
Yes.
One of the things we have found here in North Carolina, LaQuita, was last year was that last year in North Carolina, we had over nearly 180,000 people become entrepreneurs. What's this realization taking place where people are going back to their childhood dreams and say, hey, maybe I wasn't supposed to go work in corporate America. Maybe I wasn't supposed to go do this or that. I want to jump out here. Maybe I want to be an art teacher. I want to do my own thing, though. So the pandemic has created a lot of inspiration to people to kind of find out who they truly are and find their own identity. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's happening across a globe. There's so many people and I don't want to minimize the devastation that the pandemic has caused, but on the brighter side, there are so many people that have discovered who they are and have been passionately pursuing their purpose. So many entrepreneurs are birthed out as a result of this pandemic. There's this wing place by my house. And when we were finally able to get back into places, I visited the wing place, and the owner shared her story with me. A single sister with several kids, lost her job like most people did during the pandemic, but the bills didn't stop.
Sure.
So she started delivery driving, saving her money, cooking plates out of her house. Long story short, in 2020, she went from full-time job, no job, driving delivery to opening her own business.
Wow. I love it.
Who wants to go back? That's the thing that she loves. That's the thing she's always been passionate about. And the pandemic has offered a lot of people opportunity to spend some time with themselves, to spend some time with their family members, and figure out what's important, what's really important and putting it first. And that opened up the opportunity to go ahead and pursue their purpose with a passion.
Absolutely.
And it's producing income, whether it's more income than they made before or less income than they made before. But it's producing a joy that people don't want to return to the confines of a 9-to-5 that was draining my energy.
That's right, which is priceless. You can't measure. You can't measure that.
You can't put money on that. Yeah, you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all.
But when I jumped out there 12 years ago to start my business as a speaker, within 6 months I was flat broke. But I was not going back.
Yeah.
There was no plan. People asked me, what was plan B? I said, there is no plan B.
There is no plan B.
Only plan A.
Yeah.
And I kept going. I kept going because it didn't matter. It didn't matter to me if I lost everything in the short term.
Mm-hmm.
I felt God was calling me in this direction.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't stay where I wasn't supposed to be at, even though I was making $120,000 a year. It wasn't about the money. I had to leave that to get to the place where God was calling Tommy Watson to be.
Yes.
I want you to go out and inspire lives and change lives, even in your brokest state.
Mm-hmm.
Calling has not changed. So anybody out there, if you're going through something right now, no matter what your current state may look like, whatever God said he has for you, he has for you, though.
He has for you.
But one thing about people, the word believe, okay? I want people to look at this. The word believe has two components to it. Be and live, okay?
Come on now.
Okay, so to be means you got to be it mentally. Whatever it is you want to do in life, you got to become it mentally first. Okay?
Yes.
Live is about your behaviors. Okay, so I can tell what you believe by what you act, by where you act, where you carry yourself. You may say one thing, but I'm gonna look at your behaviors. Your behaviors are gonna tell me what you truly believe.
Yes.
So whatever it is you believe in God for, you got to become that mentally now.
Come on now.
You got to become it now. You got to become it way before you get it.
Yes.
Way before you get it, because you can't. The process, people talk a lot about the process. The process that you go through in life that God takes us through oftentimes is a process in preparation for something greater. If you're willing to skirt, you don't want to face adversity, you're scared to fail and get back up, because failure really isn't failure until you quit. As long as you're learning, you're winning. Okay?
You're winning. Yeah.
You get back up and God, you'll get there to what God has planned for you, though. So that's powerful.
The be and the live.
Yeah.
And I am not already believing it in my heart.
Yeah.
Then I will not take the steps.
That's right.
To live out because I don't believe it.
That's right.
You know, I like to tell people all the time, like, the power of affirmations is powerful only if you believe them.
That's right.
If you do not believe them, saying them is just a mechanical practice.
That's right.
But when I believe them, when I lock hold on it and I believe it, then I'll become it.
Yes. Then I'll become line up with your words. Yes.
Absolutely. You know, I write a lot about what we call the process of change. And I learned that actually from our spiritual parents. And it's a course that's taught in our church and in the church we were going to at the time. And literally he calls it the process of change, and it's think, say, do.
Yes.
That I think is what I will say. Yes. That I say is what I will do. And that I do defines who I am.
Yes, that's good. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and we all live in that process. Whatever your process is, wherever you are, you're not living above or operating above your current level of knowledge. And your current level of knowledge is a direct reflection of what you believe.
That's right. Absolutely.
If I could read 10 books in the next 2 months, but if I don't believe in what was written in the pages, it don't serve me.
Yeah. And you know, it's important for people to know and understand that you got to be careful the words you say to yourself.
Yes.
You got to be careful the words you let other people say in you as well, because your words convert to images. So if I say cat, most people out there are going to see a cat. If I say dog, you're going to see a dog. You're going to picture a dog. You're not going to necessarily see the words. You might see the words, but you're going to think of a visual. So our brains are designed to create an image of what you hear.
Yes.
So if people are speaking negative things into your life, your vision now becomes that negative word or aspect of theirs that has been spoken to your life. So you got to be around people, or you got to eliminate some people, from your life who aren't speaking to where you are trying to get to, or where God is taking you to, though. Whatever doesn't line with where you're trying to get to, you got to go into that cocoon and become a new you. And that means getting rid of some people. When that caterpillar goes in that cocoon, goes in solo. He didn't take nobody else in there with him. He didn't take a cheering squad in there with him. And what happens is the body of the caterpillar is literally destroyed in that process, and he becomes something greater. Yes. Sometimes in your darkest moment, you might think God is actually out to tear you apart, but he's positioning you for a new identity, who you truly are. That's so I think for the show, I mean, this has been a great show. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, we definitely have to become a new version of ourselves, a greater and a better version of ourselves. And it's a process. Yes. It won't happen overnight, but if I believe it, I can achieve it. It will happen. I'll take the necessary steps to get there. And wow. And that nugget that you dropped about, getting rid of some folks in our life. See, we could have a whole nother conversation about that and the importance of the network that we have. But thank you so much, Dr. Tommy, for coming on and sharing these amazing tools. But before you go, please take some time and let everyone know how they can connect with you, how they can partner with you, what books you have out. And those of you that are watching, again, thank you so much for watching. And we'll have all of these links I'll drop them in the comment section so that you can reach out and connect with Dr. Tommy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate the work you're doing, LaQuita, and changing lives as well. Folks, if you want to contact me, you can definitely go to tawatson.com. That's my main website. All my contact information is there as well. My book, A Face with Courage, is the book that talks about my story of going from homeless to doctor. If you want to, look more into that. But I've also written a movie that has won 7 awards that I'm also talking to some folks in Hollywood about producing here later on, that really shines the light on homelessness, childhood homelessness. I want to tell the difference here because, I grew up in Denver, Colorado. There's a difference between being in poverty and being homeless. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado, and I was in 8th grade. The school bus would go get all my friends in the projects. And again, I'm not minimizing being in poverty or living in projects, things like that, but I'm saying it's different though. So they would get all the kids on the projects, about 100 of them, get on the bus, go to school, no stigma because all the kids are coming from the same area. They were getting taken care of by the government and everything else though. And the situation we were in this motel room, now we're off the beaten path of the government. Nobody's helping us. My mom and dad are living this illegal life, and we aren't eating on a regular basis. Our meals are coming from school. We don't know when we're going to be kicked out of the motel room because everything's day to day when you live in motel rooms. There's no month. There's no eviction notice they got to give you. You can just go at any point in time, though. So it really brings a lot of exposure to what it means to be a kid in America and deal with homelessness. And there's a number of kids who are on the streets, but there are a number of kids and families who live in motel rooms, homeless shelters, couch hopping from place to place to place. So it's going to really bring exposure. And there's a lot of kids out there who really need the support of us, and other kids are aging out of the foster care system as well, need that support as well. So great movie. I hope we'll get that brought to the screens here soon. My podcast, do check in Resilient Stories podcast. LaQuita's Stories coming up, an amazing story. You can follow us there, Resilient Stories podcast. And everything you need pretty much from me is tawatson.com. I also created a coaching program for those folks out there who are now at a place where they're wondering, okay, how can my story really tie into my purpose? I'm going to tell you, your purpose in life is usually going to be connected to your story.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then the next phase is I help people discover is who are the people out there who can benefit from your story? Because there are people out there willing to pay you for your story.
Yes.
And then how do you build the multiple streams of income you need to sustain and build a successful business around your story? There's a lot of people doing it, and it can be done. And you want to jump into I'm a big encourager of telling people they should have an LLC. There's a reason that people who are business owners don't pay as much in taxes as employees. So everyone needs an LLC.
Yes,
absolutely. The U.S. tax code system was set up to benefit employers and not necessarily employees. Yeah,
that is so true.
It's called $1 Million Business Pathway. Anything I can do to help you and serve you, go to my website. I would love to coach you through those aspects. And LaQuita, you're amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tom. I really appreciate it. Thank you again. Hopefully we can have you back again to talk on some of these other topics because, it's a lot we can just dive deeper into right there. So appreciate you, sir. Toolbox audience, thank you so much for tuning in today and for your engagement. we're looking forward to you guys tuning in to my next episode of LaQuita's Toolbox Live. I do have another great guest coming up. Thank you again to our sponsors there at Covenant Press, the faith-based Christian apparel and accessory shop. You guys go out to www.covenant-press.com and do some shopping. If you're purchasing $50 or more of items, put in that promo code GROWTH, and you will receive 25% off of your purchase. Until next time, you guys be blessed. And this has been another LaQuita's Toolbox. Take care and have a great day.
Peace.